Okay, all right. Greetings, welcome back to Blackberry News, where everything is connected. What's going on, guys? Either nobody on YouTube got the info. Well, it looks like some people are watching on YouTube, but don't see any commenters yet. Everybody is expecting me to be late, but always expect the unexpected. I'm on time. Ha. Ha ha. It's Friday. And we're going to do a Friday thing where it's a little more open. As far as conversations go. But there are a few things going on that are concerning. Of concern, one of which is basically a massacre that happened and in Gaza. It's being called the Flower Massacre because people were lined up to get some food. William Moyet on Rockfin. Howdy to you. The early bird gets the first comment. And we're live on Twitter, Rockfin, YouTube, and on Callin. And I'm going to talk for a little bit, but we'll open up the phone lines in a second, or the call-in lines. Mostly be open today. Poppy Davis, first comment on YouTube. Extinction of humanity won't come soon enough. I mean, there's, Delene sliding in for second place on the comments. You wouldn't be alone, and you wouldn't be far afield from what a lot of people feel about what humanity does and what they, There's some good people, there's some bad people. Unfortunately, the sum of the whole the sum of what humans do. And I guess the horrific the horrific things that the bad people can do, doesn't really, if you want to just judge, there's a saying, you should judge people by their actions. Well, if you want to just judge humans by their actions, there's individual judging, which you can do. But if you want to judge the whole of humanity and the depravity and the actual violence and disgusting things that we do, not just to each other, but to the planet, well, then you could judge humanity as being pretty horrible. Sorry to say. I know to all the people that are like, go humans, amazing and lovely humans, and we're just the greatest and everything is the best. No, not so much. But I love the people that keep trying. I do appreciate the people who keep trying to be good humans and to push for humans to be better. And I'm one of those people. I wish that humans could do a little better. Do you know? We ain't doing okay right now, and history. If you just take a little jaunt through history, right, and walking down the road, look at this over here. Oh, oh wow, look at humans over here. If you just take a jaunt through history and look at what humans have done, yeah, some amazing things, but also some really horrible things. Really horrible things. I don't know. You sum it all up. What's the sum total of all that? I don't know. Is it like 50-50, or is it pretty much on the side of like we messed it all up? We messed it up. We were clever and not wise. Oh, by the way, I got a really nice donation on PayPal from Obsolete Optics. Thank you, Obsolete Optics. I really appreciate you. It was a very generous donation, and very much appreciated. So, thank you. And maybe I'll just start, because I'm thanking. I see that Twitter is having a hard time playing my video, or maybe they're just, yeah. Might as well just do it in the beginning here. If you want to support the show, and the show needs your support and appreciates your support. I'm having a hard time not just messing this whole thing up here, but I bring the show to you for free, without paywalls, every day, Monday through Friday, and I think I provide a good space for people of a particular viewpoint in the world to air their opinions and comments, and I'll have a little chat. And as I'm saying this, my microphone level goes up and down for me on StreamYard. But anyways, so some of the really great ways you can support me, these are the direct donation ways, are you can Zelle me at kevinsamblin at protonmail.com. You can PayPal me, paypal.me/kevinsamblin. You can Venmo me at kevinsamblin. You can Cash App me at Red Llama Music, or you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/blackbearnews. And I do appreciate all of you that support. You can also super chat me or super ray me. Super ray as a Rockfin tip. All right, waiting for the Rockfinners to get in there. Gene says, Kevin, there are a few people in my little world that I can talk to about this topic, so thanks for all you do. Yeah, you're welcome. I appreciate you guys showing up here every day. If you appreciate what I do, I appreciate you all getting in here every day and having a little chat. It makes me feel a little less alone. I don't know what I would do if I didn't have this space to air my thoughts and my grievances. This has, on some levels has relieved me of of the urge to to get my thoughts and grievances out to people that may not really want to listen, or maybe not in not so constructive ways. So it does provide me a bit of a relief valve or release valve. I don't know, however you want to call it. Anyways, man, this really horrible. The way, and again, man, the way that they're saying, the way that some of the press are talking about it is just so horrible, just so horrible, right? Kind of like, um, well, not at least Al Jazeera is being somewhat more honest about it. I mean, the Guardian is even engaging in somewhat deceptive language. Um, so when they were talking about Aaron Bushnell, right? I read an article that just said a man, random dude, no name, wasn't in the armed forces, lit himself on fire in front of the Israeli embassy. For what reason? Nobody knows, right? So, the way they were talking about it was just disgusting, right? Not letting anybody have any details about it, not telling, not saying that he, you know, self-immolated in protest of the genocide and what is going on in Gaza, right? They are just trying to keep that. But anyway, so what the way that they've been talking about this massacre, it's called the Flower Massacre. It's being called the Flower Massacre. Dozens killed by Israeli fire in Gaza while collecting food aid. More than 100 killed, 750 wounded. The absolute carnage of this. Wounded after Israeli forces fired at Palestinians trying to get flour for their families as famine stalks the strip. So they literally fired into this crowd and killed all these people, right? So the way that some outlets are saying is that a bunch of people died, and Israeli troops opened fire near some aid trucks, right? Like there were people gathered to get food, and the IDF just opened fire, like, kind of nearby, but, somehow all these people died. And they were saying, and the IDF is saying, like, we didn't fire directly into the crowd, but oh golly gee whiz, how did 100 people die and 750 people get wounded? I mean, that's almost 1,000 people. You don't do that on accident. 1,000 people don't get shot on accident, right? Or you're just firing near this group of people, and oopsie, the bullets went astray. Like 1,000 or more than 1,000 bullets went astray. Oh, whoa! How did this happen? I mean, it's just disgusting the way that they're couching this, right? The Guardian says it's 112 dead in chaotic scenes as Israeli troops open fire near aid trucks. Just nearby. Israeli military denies shooting into large crowds of hungry people and says most were killed in crush or run over trying to escape. Okay, maybe. There were starkly different accounts of how the victims died in the chaos that took place near Gaza City in the north of the Strip. Israelis military denied shooting into large crowds of hungry people and said most were killed in a crush or run over by trucks trying to escape. Okay, soldiers only fired at a small group that moved away from the trucks and threatened a checkpoint. That's what they're saying. All right. Well, who are you going to believe? Already, we know past experience has told us, from the last few months, the past experience has told us that the stories that the Israeli military tells are false, always false, always lies, always false. All of them have turned out to be false. Every single one of them. Right? They tell a story, and that they, the news or somebody or Joe Biden or somebody runs with it. Oh, this is what the Israeli military said. And then, days later or a few weeks later or a month later, a report comes out and says, well, we don't think this happened like this. Anyways, so Al Jazeera says more than 100 killed and 750 wounded after Israeli forces fired at Palestinians trying to get flour for their family. At, not around, not nearby. Oh, shooting at some other people and whoopsie. You know, all these people just freaked out and they died, right? Like, all these people experienced sudden death syndrome. Whoopsie. My God. Anyways, they were wounded after Israeli troops opened fire on hundreds waiting for food aid southwest of Gaza City. So at least Al Jazeera is telling you the truth. They fired at these people. They fired at these people. They didn't fire around them or near them or over here. We were shooting up in the sky and the bullets fell down and a bunch of people died. Oh. Why? Because the Israeli military are liars. They're liars. They lie. Whatever their story is not the truth. Gaza Ministry of Health said on Thursday, at least 112 people were killed, condemning what it said was a cold-blooded massacre. The ministry said the attack was part of Israel's ongoing genocidal war. It called on the international community to urgently intervene to forge a ceasefire. It's the only way to protect civilians. These people are just out of control. Israel, the state of Israel, the Israeli military, the IDF, whatever you want to call them, they're out of control. These people are racist. They are genocidal, racist lunatics. They are out of control. Is anybody going to stop them, is what my question. Is anybody going to stop these people? People had congregated at Al-Rashid Street where aid trucks carrying flour were believed to be on the way. Al Jazeera verified footage showing the bodies of dozens of killed, wounded Palestinians being carried onto trucks as no ambulances could reach the area. We went to get flour. The Israeli army shot at us. There are many martyrs on the ground, and until this moment, we are withdrawing them. There is no first aid, said one witness. Reporting from the scene, Al Jazeera's Ismail Al-Ghul said that after opening fire, Israeli tanks advanced and ran over many of the dead and injured bodies. Jesus Christ. It is a massacre on top of the starvation threatening citizens in Gaza. The dead and wounded have been taken to 4 medical centers, Al-Shifa, Kamal Adwan, Ali, and the Jordanian hospitals. Ambulances could not reach the area as the roads had been totally destroyed. Man. The numbers will rise. Hospitals are no longer able to accommodate the huge number of patients because they lack fuel, let alone medicine. Hospitals have also run out of blood. Reporting from occupied East Jerusalem, Al Jazeera's Bernard Smith said the Israeli military initially tried to pin the blame on the crowd, saying that dozens were hurt as a consequence of being crushed and trampled. And then, after some pushing, the Israelis went on to say that their troops felt threatened. They felt threatened. Oh, where have I heard that one before? We felt threatened, so we had to open fire. This guy was threatening me, so I had to pull out my gun and shoot him 12 times. Before I realized he didn't have a gun, and he wasn't even looking at me. But I felt threatened, so, justified. Going South says racism is bad. Okay, someone tell us real. Us real. Israel has gone mad. Absolutely gone mad. Right. And they initially tried to blame the crowd. Well, everybody started running and they trampled each other. I don't know what they were doing. Holy holy shnikes is all I can say. Blah blah blah. There's an investigation underway. Blah blah blah. Anyways, one Palestinian man told the Quds news network the military attack was a crime. The majority of victims suffered gunshots and shrapnel in the head and upper parts of their body. God dang it. They were hit by direct artillery shelling, drone missiles, and gun firing, said Jadella al-Shafei. The situation is beyond any words. Gene says, remember, the U.S. is intertwined in the genocide, just as guilty, in my opinion. Yeah, sure. Is it Guy McPherson's birthday? Well, happy birthday, Guy McPherson. Yeah. It's pretty horrific. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, all I can say is who's going to stop? Who's going to stop this? We're just going to wait until somebody decides, like, well, I guess, well, maybe we'll stop now. I don't know. When everybody's dead? I don't know. I don't really understand. Oh, yesterday was? Okay. Here's Go Green. Well, here are other ways that, humans just, when we're not busy mangling each other, we're just really super busy mangling the planet. Humans are apes with big brains who are using their intelligence to create even more and more destructive ways to wipe out as much of nature as possible, faster and faster towards a lifeless world. He's retweeting Mark Peters. The agony, the diversity, the lost species. This is beyond any control. We are in our self-caused mass extinction, and we just keep on ravaging our ocean life. It's just a conveyor belt of creatures sucked up out of the ocean, right? This is how, industrial fishing, what it looks like. Just scooping up, everything in your path and then sorting it out later. It's a seafood escalator, exactly, going south. And that's horrific. They're getting what Osama, you said something about a bunch of cattle died in the wildfires in Texas. I did not see that one. I can't. Let's see. I don't know. Brave search is not the best. Anyways. Why can't I find any? I can't find a story on this. Is this the one? Daily Mail? Is this it? Yes. Texas wildfire leaves 1 dead and dozens of cattle killed as herds desperately flee scorching wildfire as 850,000 acres of land are engulfed by unrelenting flames. One video shows herd of cattle. Hold on. Let's get the right article up here. Oh, you got. Oh, thanks. I didn't see that. You put the link on Rockpin. I didn't see it. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Here we go. Why is my computer running so slow? Historic Texas wildfire kills thousands of cattle. The fire, which spans over 1.1 million acres, has melted light posts, destroyed homes, and left a blackened landscape in its wake. And all the houses that were painted blue survived. I don't know. Sorry. It's one of those. If you paint your house blue, the directed energy weapons will bounce off of it and will not melt your house. At least that's how the theory goes. 2 people have been confirmed dead in the blaze, which is only 5% contained. North Texas residents have been warned the wildfire may worsen over the weekend, fueled by low humidity and high winds. Fire weather watches have been issued in Oklahoma and the Texas Panhandle from Saturday through to midnight on Sunday as firefighters rush to contain the conflagration. Here, I'll just read this one. Thousands of animals are believed to have died. Just my prediction, but it will be 10,000 that will have died or will have to euthanize. It's sad a lot of those cattle are still alive, but the hooves are burned off. Jesus, their teats are on their udders are burned off. What the? Cattle ranches in the area were scrambling on Thursday to save both themselves and their livestock as the fire scorched the grasslands around them. Look at these cars, directed energy weapons. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, guys. Give me some concrete evidence that it's directed energy weapons. I'm willing to listen, but Latin America is in a drought. Well, so is the Midwest is in a drought. It's hard to watch. Jeff Chisholm, a Texas rancher with 600 cows, told the New York Times. His wife, Leigh Chisholm, described the devastation on Facebook, writing that she had driven by baby calves standing alone in the black, desolate pastures with dead cows scattered along the roads. Obsolete Optics says if they can use lasers to modify or control the weather, they can use lasers to burn down towns. I just want to see the, I don't know. I just don't, I totally understand. I get the concept of it, and I love Judy Wood, and I loved her breakdown of the possible things that could have been going on in New York so many years ago. I don't know. I just need a little more evidence. I need a little more evidence other than these look funny. And maybe cough Middle Eastern space lasers. Exactly, going south. Yes. What's up, Phantomas? How you doing? I thought for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the problem when you are dealing with a place like Texas or Hawaii or someplace like that, because of you're not sure what started what in the way that it's set up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also, I mean, it benefits so much confusion, and then you're just left with everybody fighting with each other.
Certainly. I think the confusion about what's actually going on is just as bad. It's kind of like, well, and we're talking about fires, right? Like people do set fires, right? Arson has long been a method used by people to cover up crimes or get insurance money or whatever it could be. It's not a wild theory, right?
Right.
It's not a far-fetched, like somebody set fire to this thing for nefarious purposes. I mean, it happens all the time. Also, fires happen accidentally. So, you really have to, they have investigators that are, very knowledgeable about investigating what starts the fire and what doesn't. And I mean, now, just depends on how paranoid you want to be, I guess. I don't know.
I guess what I would say about people who say that it was started intentionally is how far does a fire extend in February in Texas? I don't know. I'm just asking in terms of, rather than just to talk about the climate that's at hand. Maybe it did start, and maybe someone did intentionally start it, but it really has to do also with the climate.
Exactly, right. So somebody could start a fire, but the conditions are such that they actually allow the fire to get worse. And I don't know. I guess
I
keep going. Oh, I lost you.
I think a lot of investigating has to go into play into this whole thing.
Right. Well, I also think it's very interesting. Remember the story that I read? It was maybe a month or two ago. Sorry, I'm laughing at Osama. Osama says all fires can be traced back to gender reveal parties. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so what I was saying was there was a news story out of Canada that there was a guy lighting fires, but he was kind of like a truther type, right? He was he was trying to prove, he was basically being a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? He was trying to prove that the fires were set intentionally. So he set the fires, right? He was saying, anyways, which is kind of wild, right? He set the fires in order to kind of point out, or saying that it wasn't because of climate change. He was trying to say it was, well, these fires it's all bullshit. Somebody set these fires, right? They're trying to make you believe climate change is real. And this climate change is the reason for these fires. But he set the fires. So it's like, okay. Yeah, that's a wild one, right? Right. It's like the guy, there's a story about the guy that's the streaker during the Super Bowl. There's a big story. There was a streaker during the Super Bowl. And guess what? This guy went and placed a bet that there was going to be a streaker at the Super Bowl, and then he was the streaker at the Super Bowl. Yeah. And he won a bunch of money. I was like, that's awesome. I mean, in my mind, the first thing that came to my mind was like, that's kind of illegal, isn't it? Like, you bet that something would happen, but you actually did the thing that you said was going to happen. I was like, there could be they actually paid you for that? I would be like, you're the streak. You bet that there was going to be a streaker and you're the streaker. I'd be like, hell no. Hell no, you're not getting paid. Like, no, dude. But anyways, I guess it worked out for him. But right, I mean, so who knows what's going on? Who knows?
I mean, I think a place in like Texas, and there's a lot of bikes and a lot of vehicles, and a lot of people smoking cigarettes or whatever, and
Sure,
someone tosses one out the window.
sure.
It could be something as simple as that, and it just has to do with the the climate that we have, and those two things intertwine, and there you go.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's hard to and it's hard to. I think it's a little silly for the jumping to conclusions thing, right? It's just as silly,
Yeah.
Okay, sure, you could say. I mean, I think it's so. I think it's a little. It's logical to say like, hey, the conditions are such that these fires. People are like fires in February in Texas. Well, yeah, if there's a drought and if it's unseasonably warm, has it been unseasonably warm? Yes, it has. It absolutely has.
Yeah.
And there's a drought and there's not and there's high winds, so any little thing, these conditions are such that you can get a fire like this in February, and that's a rarity in February. Just like there were a lot of fires in a few years ago in California and in even farther north during the winter. Why? Because the conditions were such that they allowed the fires to spread. Whereas usually it would be too cold, too rainy, too snowy, right? But you have like it's unusually warm, it's kind of dry. Sure, maybe it's a little cold, but maybe it's not. It's not that cold, right? It's unusually warm, right? Set 80 degrees is not unheard of in February in Texas. So I don't know.
I guess my problem with anything where it concerns when we have a disaster like this is nobody puts everything on the board, if you get what I'm saying. They
Right.
immediately jump to this fire was intentional, or you have to put
That's
everything
yeah,
in front of you, what the possibilities are.
and that's a point I was trying to make, and thank you for making it for me because
Yeah.
um, I was trying to say it's kind of logical to think that climate change would actually allow this to happen. And you could or could not be wrong for jumping to the this is climate change. This climate change caused this. I don't know if it caused it. It just was
Yeah.
is a factor in it being worse than it probably, or factor in it even happening at all or being worse than it was. But to jump to the conclusion that it's directed energy weapons, paint your houses blue, look at how the cars burned, it's wrong. Like to jump to that is also ignorant. It's just ignorant. It's just not. I mean, you can have your suspicions, and I don't mind suspicions, and I don't mind questions, but it's
Yeah.
just go look at it. It's definitely they're making this happen. I think is a little silly, and nobody did any of the truthers cover the story about the guy setting the fires right in Canada. Right, they were all over like, oh, these fires are definitely intentional. And yes, some of them actually were set by somebody who was trying to prove that they were intentional. Like, oh, come on, nobody covered that one. You know, nobody came back around. Nobody came back around a couple months later and went like, oh, look at this guy. Like, that's messed up. Okay, whatever.
Well, one last thing before I go, I want to suggest to you a docu-series on Danny Castellaro, the Octopus Murders. It just
Oh,
came
I
out on
was trying to
Netflix.
watch that last night, but my daughter was using the Netflix, so I couldn't watch it. But I'll watch it tonight.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Is it
really
good?
interesting. If people don't know, this is a regarding an investigative journalist in West Virginia, and he uncovers a diabolical type of plot involving the government, and basically with the documentary, it does talk about that, but it's also about the birth of digital surveillance as well.
Aha. Yeah.
And so you're taken through the whole. It's very well put together, and what it's about is for people who are listening. It's about this investigative journalist who this other investigator from uh, modern times right now decides to look into his murder and go through all his files and see and to decide if it's a suicide or not a suicide, or if it was if it was not a suicide, who was at play, and it takes you through all the cast of crazy characters as well. It's really well done. I suggest people watch it. It's called The Octopus Murders. If you look it up, you type in American Conspiracy or Octopus Murders, it'll come right up. So.
Yeah, I've been meaning to watch that. I'm gonna check it out tonight. All right, thanks, man.
All right, later.
Peace. I saw this post. This is an interesting post. Global Solidarity says most fires during the 1968 riots in America were to collect insurance and to rebuild. Huh. Oh, Steph C. Yeah, you didn't know about the driver shooting JFK? There's that. Yeah, and the Zapruder film. You can kind of see. That's now become one of the leading theories. The driver just turned around and did that. Anyways. Which is messed up. When you're sitting in the back seat and somebody just turns around and shoots you in the head. God, I hate when that happens. Anyways, I saw this. This is just a random post on Facebook I saw from a realtor who said, "Home buyer, I want to build a house built after 1980." He said, "No, actually, you don't. Let me explain. Newer isn't always better, and this picture sums it up pretty well. The quality of modern lumber is simply far inferior to the quality of lumber they were using to build homes in the early and mid 20th century. Why? Because they were using old growth forest trees. They cut down all the old growth, nice hardwood trees and built homes back then with them. And now that all that's left is, young growth, which is inferior wood. Most wood used today." Anyways, the quality of modern lumber is simply far inferior to the quality of lumber they were using to build homes in the early and mid 20th century. Wood quality began dropping on a serious scale in the 1980s due to old growth timber. This is also about how humans decimate the planet, right? This little post is about how humans decimate the planet. Anyways, wood quality began dropping on a serious scale in the 1980s due to the old growth timber being almost completely depleted. Most wood used today has grown very fast. Not only can you visibly see the difference in quality, but the newer lumber is more prone to rotting due to the lack of heartwood. Slow growth wood yields much more heartwood, which is the longest lasting part of the tree. Whereas sapwood, new growth wood, will rot very quickly. Modern lumber is also a lot more prone to termite damage as it is softer and easier to consume, whereas old lumber is extremely resinous and naturally termite resistant. A good rule, as long as the plumbing and electricity have been updated, a well-built home from the mid-20th century is a better investment and will likely outlast a newer build. So there you go. This is a deceiving picture because they're not showing the 2018 2x4 dead on with the other one, but 2x4s also are smaller. This is an actual, the 1918, this is an actual 2-inch by 4-inch piece of wood. This 2018 piece is not 2 inches by 4 inches. It's like 1 and something, right? 1 and 6/8 by 2, whatever, by 2 and 3/4, by 3 and 3/4 or something, or 3 and whatever. You know what I'm trying to say. They shifted the picture. In the picture, they shifted this piece of wood so you couldn't see it lined up exactly with the old piece of wood, and so it's 2x4s are not 2x4 anymore. Anyways, shrinkflation, basically. Osama, yeah, exactly. But this original, you can see the difference in the quality of the wood, but you can also see that it's an actual 2x4. And that's just how it is now. Anyways, that's interesting, right? You want an older home, not a newer home. If you can get your hands on it. pretty soon there'll be $500,000 for a shack. That's right, Salt Lickers. Shoot, in this neighborhood around here, it's close to $1 million for a shack. Not a shack, but like a small, two or three bedroom family home, not a big home. It's like a clean mill here. Where else are we going? Well, I'm sorry that William took off. I think he was going to call in, but Drew Tech says, indeed, I made a bookshelf recently and I used the newer wood. Unfortunately, I question my choice there. The old wood is better, yes. Well, and the upshot of that, this little segment is that we decimated all. We absolutely just destroyed, decimated, and took down all the old growth forest and got all the good wood out of there, and everything. Most of what we're using now is like young wood, new growth. Gene asks, Kevin, any guarantee that those $1 million homes will have water access in a decade? No. I mean, there's no guarantee of anything, right? Anyways, I do think it's kind of funny how they deceptively moved the top piece in a way that you couldn't see it actually lined up with the other. You can't see that it's actually a smaller piece of wood. It looks by the perspective, it looks kind of about the same size, but it's actually not. All right. Let's see. Bill E. Rees on Rockfin says, one thing is for sure, the fires are caused by humans. Ding. Ding, ding, ding. I know there was another story or two in here I had to talk about. I just had to talk about it. Oh. Oh, well, actually, this is a... excuse me. I don't know. Maybe this is something I want to get into later. Zing tagged me in this on... I don't know how deep into this I'm going to go. Tagged me in this on Twitter about a new climate denialism being anti-renewable. Is a denialism? I don't know. The new climate denial, how social media platforms and content producers profit by spreading new forms of climate denial. And I think they're trying to say... Zing says, deniers shift to doomism to attack, or maybe he's quoting, deniers shift to doomism to attack any chance of breakthrough on the climate front. A narrative earning millions of dollars a day, one that is opposed to regulation and healthy climate policy. Well, I'm sure that I'm sure it's part of that in there. I do think, and no, this is not anything. This is not targeted at using, but the Centers for Countering Digital Hate, I think, is we can call that an op. Because to quote James Corbett, anything they call hate speech is speech that they hate, right? The government's anything the government calls hate speech is speech that they hate. They hate. If they hate what you're saying, they'll call it hate speech. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's hateful. It actually may be very true, right? Right. Anyways, I hope you guys got that. It was a good quote, or it was good. Whatever he said was good. Anyways, the Centers for Countering Digital Hate. I'm gonna take a pass on that. But what they mean is the Centers for Countering Digital Truth is what they mean. What? So I don't know. I'm not really sure the context in which Zing sent this to me, and I appreciate it, Zing. I'm not I don't know. I think it's pretty common knowledge now, even by people who are well versed in not just climate change, because climate change isn't the only. It's not just climate change. It's not just carbon. It's not just climate change. It's literally like, this destruction of the planet by man. And like people who are deep into the subject and deep into the understanding of what it is that we're doing to the planet, I think, and it's kind of along the lines of like the Planet of the Humans movie and Bright Green Lies and so many people out there who have spent a lot of time looking into this, thinking about this. Salt Laker says, when hate speaking, speak clearly. Exactly. Yeah. The government calls hate speech is speech that they hate. So, Biden is so evil that it's awesome. An awesome amount of evil. That's what he's bringing. Anyways, what I was saying was there are people that have spent a lot of time looking thinking very deeply about this and looking into this, and all the way down the line, right? Derek Jensen and Guy McPherson and who does Thomas what's his name? The physicist that Guy McPherson always quotes about civilization being a heat engine. And am I messing up his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. Right? People who have thought about this very deeply understand that renewables are just another form of destruction, right? And so, I don't know. To take the line that like people who don't want to do renewables, that is a form of hate speech or denialism. I don't know about that one. So, and this is Steve Austin, who is a climate aware, earth friendly, earth loving human. Posted Alberta to ban renewables on prime land and preserve pristine viewscapes. Decision by Premier Daniel Smith further pits Canadian province against environmental groups pushing green energy. But it's not green. That's the thing. It is not green energy. They are not renewables. They are rebuildables. They don't renew themselves. You have to rebuild them. And the rebuilding takes what? Carbon, fossil fuels, more mining, destruction of the earth, shipping, building, all the things that destroy the earth now. It requires all. They should be called rebuildables, not renewables. Anyways, I appreciate Angel's Place says Candida auris came out of Fukushima and is killing people. Really? So, anyways, I appreciate the tag Zing. I just, I don't know. I don't know about that one. I'm not sure that I totally agree. And maybe you were just tagging me in it because it is an interesting article. I'm not sure. Anyways, yep. It's about time to wrap it up, y'all. I appreciate you being here. Since it is Friday, I'll have to say see you on the other side of the weekend. I'll see you Monday. Thanks again for everyone for being here, and thanks for everybody that supports the show. What is this? Hold on. Before we go, I'm just reading this. Victory Gin just sent me something. It says Joe Biden literally just told people in Texas today whose homes were just destroyed by our government-directed energy weapon how to avoid getting your home destroyed by a government-directed energy weapon. Okay, really? Well, hold on. Somebody says, who dubbed this? Hold on.
You'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because they had the right roof on it. And anyway, since I took office, FEMA's provided Texas alone.
Because it had the right roof on it.
If you fly over these areas that are burned to the ground, you'll see in the midst of 20 homes that are just totally destroyed, one home sitting there because they had the right roof on it.
I don't know. Well, that's either a good joke or they meant that. Seriously, I think what he's talking about is like, it's pretty common knowledge it's been common knowledge. Like in Southern California, we used to talk about, wood shingles as opposed to the ceramic. Like a lot of houses here have. My neighbor next door has these like ceramic tile shingles. They used to talk a lot about roof shingles and what you used to put on your roof. So if you had the correct type of roofing, it would be fire resistant, which is true. But Salt Lakers is talking about the blue roof. They're trying to say if you have a blue roof, then you can avoid the directed energy weapons. I don't know. We'll leave that as the thought of the day. Paint your roof blue and get a better outcome in life or something like that. All right. Thanks, guys. See you on Monday. And until next time, peace.